Good morning, Little Masters, and welcome to today's Tolkien Times. I'm the Man of the West, also from the Prancing Pony podcast. Now, we've been enjoying Tolkien's storytelling in the form of poetry from the Lay of Leithian for quite some time now, and we've still got a wonderfully long way to go. Now, last week, we began Canto 6 as Thingol imprisoned his daughter in a treehouse. Today, we finish Canto 6 as Lúthien pulls a Rapunzel and makes her escape to go rescue her love. Yet long the hours when she must sit and see the sunbeams dance and flit in beechen leaves, or watch the stars peep on clear nights between the bars of beechen branches. And one night, just ere the changing of the light, a dream there came from the Ainur, maybe, or Melian's enchantments. She dreamed that she heard Baron's voice o'er hill and fell, Tinuviel called, Tinuviel. And her heart answered, let me be gone, to seek him no others think upon. She woke and saw the moonlight pale through the slim leaves. It trembled frail upon her arms. As these she spread, and therein longing bowed her head, and yearned for freedom and escape. Now Lúthien doth her counsel shape, and Melian's daughter of deep lore knew many things, enchantments more, than then or now know elven maids that glint and shimmer in the glades. She pondered long while the moon sank and faded, and the starlight shrank, and the dawn opened. At last a smile on her face flickered. She mused a while, and watched the morning sunlight grow, then called to those that walked below. And when one climbed to her, she prayed that he would in the dark pools wade of cold Escalduin, water clear, the clearest water cold and sheer to draw for her. At middle night, she said, in bowl of silver white, it must be drawn and brought to me, with no word spoken, silently. Another she begged to bring her wine in a jar of gold where flowers twine, and singing let him come to me at high noon, singing merrily. Again she spake, now go, I pray, to Melian the queen, and say, thy daughter many a weary hour, slow passing watches in her bower. A spinning wheel she begs thee send. Then Dairon she called, I prithee, friend, climb up and talk to Lúthien. And sitting at her window then, she said, my Dairon thou hast craft, beside thy music many a shaft, and many a tool of carven wood to fashion with cunning. It were good if thou wouldst make a little loom to stand in the corner of my room. My idle fingers would spin and weave a pattern of colors of morn and eve, of sun and moon and changing light, amid the beech leaves waving bright. This Dairon did, and asked her then, O Lúthien, what wilt thou weave, what wilt thou spin? A marvelous thread, and wind therein a strong enchantment and a spell. I will weave within a web that hell nor all the powers of dread shall break. Then Dairon wondered, but he spake no word to Thingol, though his heart feared the dark purpose of her art. And Lúthien now was left alone. A magic song to men unknown she sang, and singing then the wine with water mingled 3 times 9. And as in golden jar they lay, she sang a song of growth and day. And as they lay in silver white, another song she sang of night and darkness without end, of height uplifted to the stars, and flight and freedom, and all names of things tallest and longest on earth she sings. The locks of the long-beard dwarves, the tail of Draugluin the werewolf pale, the body of Glaurung the great snake, the vast upsoaring peaks that quake above the fires in Angban's gloom, the chain Angainor that ere doom of Bauglir had by Valar been wrought, of steel and torment. Names she sought, and sang of Glend, the sword of Nan, of Gilim, the giant of Eruman, and last and longest named she then the endless hair of Uinen, the lady of the sea that lies through all the waters under skies. Then did she lave her head and sing a theme of sleep and slumbering, profound and fathomless and stark as Lúthien's shadowy hair was dark. Each thread was more slender and more fine than threads of twilight that entwine and filmy web the fading grass, and closing flowers as day doth pass. Now long and longer grew her hair, and fell to her feet, and wandered there like pools of shadow on the ground. Then Lúthien, in a slumber drowned, was laid upon her bed and slept, till morning through the windows crept, thinly and faint, and then she woke, and the room was filled as with a smoke, and with an evening mist, and deep she lay thereunder, drowsed in sleep. Behold, her hair from windows blew in morning airs, and darkly grew, waving about the pillars gray of Hirelorn at break of day. Then groping she found her little shears, and cut the hair about her ears, and close she cropped it to her head, enchanted tresses, thread by thread. Thereafter grew they slow once more, yet darker than their wont before. And now was her labour but begun. Long was she spinning, long she spun, and though with elvish skill she wrought, long was her weaving, if men sought to call her, crying from below. Nothing I need, she answered, go. I would keep my bed and only sleep by now desire, who waking weep. Then Dairon feared, and in amaze he called from under, but 3 days she answered not. Of cloudy hair she wove a web like misty air of moonless night, and thereof made a robe as fluttering dark as shade beneath great trees, an enchanted dress that all was drenched with drowsiness. Imbued it was with mightier spell than Melion's raiment in that dell wherein of yore did Thingol roam beneath a dark and starry dome that hung above the dawning world. And now this robe she round her furled, and veiled her garments shimmering white, her mantle blue with jewels bright, like crystal stars the lilies gold were wrapped and hid. And down there rolled dim dreams and faint oblivious sleep, falling about her to softly creep through all the air. Then swift she takes the threads unused. Of these she makes a slender rope of twisted strands, yet long and stout, and with her hands she makes it fast unto the shaft of Hirelorn. Now all her craft and labor ended, looks she forth from her little window facing north. Already the sunlight in the trees is drooping red, and dusk she sees come softly along the ground below. And now she murmurs, soft and slow. Now, chanting clearer, down she cast her long hair, till it reached at last from her window to the darkling ground. Men far beneath her heard the sound, but the slumberous strand now swung and swayed above her guards. Their talking stayed. They listened to her voice and fell suddenly beneath a binding spell. Now clad as in a cloud she hung, now down her roped hair she swung, as light as squirrel, and away, away she danced, and who could say what paths she took, whose elvish feet no impress made a dancing fleet. Lúthien sure is clever, persistent, and resourceful. Nobody really knows what she's up to. Everybody gets a little piece of the puzzle. But here at the very end, we see what happens, and she dances away on paths no one knows to go find Beren. And that is it for today's First Age Friday. But come back next time as we get a flashback all the way to the destruction of the trees in Valinor. Now, I'm planning on getting back to Fandom Friday's next series, so if you would like to join me on the show, or you know somebody who does, please email barliman@theprancingponypodcast.com and let us know. Please visit patreon.com/TolkienTimes to learn how you can support the show, get an ad-free RSS feed, a monthly hangout with me, bonus episode every week, and more. And join me again tomorrow on today's Tolkien Times as we wrap up this week with Second Age Saturday. If you're watching this on YouTube, you know the drill by now. Please like and subscribe. Please follow or subscribe in your podcast apps, and follow @Tolkien Times on social media. Finally, as Faramir says, go with the goodwill of all good men.